So I'm about to say something that's going to make a lot of people in my industry very, very uncomfortable, but it needs to be said. AI is about to wipe out 90% of recruiters. And if you're a business leader or a hiring manager and you're still relying on the old model, then you need to hear this. Because this is what happens when a force this powerful meets an industry that hasn't changed its playbook in 3 decades. The recruitment industry wasn't shaped by boutique firms like mine. It was actually shaped by the largest staffing and recruiting firms in the world. I'm talking about the global giants with thousands of recruiters on payroll across every single continent. And over time, they set the rules for the entire market. I'm talking about rules like 70+ day hiring timelines, huge placement fees with no accountability, surface level screening, and just a volume over precision mindset. And here's the thing, when a standard is low, but it's accepted by a majority of the market, there is very little reason or motivation for that matter for anyone to raise it. And that means the big firms, they didn't need to innovate. They just needed to maintain status quo. So think about what buying a car used to feel like. You'd walk into a dealership fully expecting to haggle with a pushy, sleazy, slimy salesman. Absolutely nobody loves this experience. I might be the only person who enjoyed that, but nobody else loved this experience. But everyone accepted it because there was no alternative. It's just how it was. But then the internet happened, and suddenly the customer had power. I'm talking about real pricing data, comparative options, reviews, transparency, and almost overnight, dealerships had to change. And the ones that survived, they leveled up and they led with service and value, and the ones that didn't, they got left behind. Now that same shift is happening in recruitment right now, and AI is the internet in this scenario. And what AI has done to recruitment is exactly what it's been doing across every industry that it touches. It's become the great equalizer. Think of it like a David that's tracking down Goliaths in sector after sector. It's on a warpath, taking them out one by one. And you can see this happening in real time on Wall Street. Just watch how the markets react to industries where AI can step in and replace human day-to-day activity. The stocks, they start to slide and the business models shift. And the companies that were coasting on just size instead of value are the first ones to feel the pressure. And the recruitment giants are watching this same movie right now, and they're absolutely freaking out. Now, if you're new to this channel, I want to say welcome. My name is Jared Black, and over the last decade, I've operated a professional recruitment firm, which has led me to successfully placing over 10,000 candidates across hundreds of different businesses. And here on this channel, I share actionable recruitment strategies that help business leaders just like you attract and hire top talent. I'm talking about without the guesswork, without the costly mistakes, and without the years of trial and error. All right, so let's get into what this shift actually looks like and why it matters more than most people realize. First, let's talk about what the standard practice has actually looked like in recruitment for the last 20 some odd years. Because once you see it laid out like this, you'll understand why AI is reshaping the entire conversation. So the standard practice has a several step process, but let's start with step 1. You receive a job description from a client and you accept it on face value. Step 2, a recruiter would post it to maybe a few job boards. Step 3, maybe run a LinkedIn search with some keyword filters involved. Step 4, send a couple cold standardized outreach messages, maybe to 25 to 50 people at the most. Step 5, you would greenlight the 1 to 3 candidates who happen to respond. Step 6, you would forward those resumes off to your client with a 1 to 2 sentence summary. And lastly, step 7, collect a nice 35% fee on top of it for all of your efforts. I know, terrible, right? Now, unfortunately, that process hasn't fundamentally changed in over 2 decades. Now, of course, the technology around it has evolved a bit. I'm talking about better ATS platforms, better job boards, better CRMs. Sure, technology has evolved, but the underlying approach, it's basically the same. And nobody has challenged it. The large recruitment firms, they had the contracts, they had the brand recognition, they had the infrastructure. And the smaller firms, they copied the playbook because that's what professional recruitment looked like from the outside. And the companies on the receiving end, they didn't know what a better model could look like, so they just benchmark against what they had always experienced. And when the accepted standard is average, average just feels normal, and normal doesn't get questioned. But here's what's fascinating. This disruption that's coming, it isn't coming from the top. It's coming from the bottom. Right now, it's the small firms, the boutiques, the specialists, the independents that are driving the biggest change in this industry. They're the ones that are leveraging AI aggressively and pairing it with something that the big firms lost a long time ago, which is real value, real service, and real accountability. And the large staffing and recruiting firms, the Goliaths, they're scrambling right now. they're watching the smaller, faster, innovative firms eat into their market share. And they're desperately trying to copy the playbook that the boutiques have already mastered. And that's the paradox. The companies that set the old standard are now chasing the companies that refused to accept it. And the really cool part is not what AI itself is capable of, because that just will continue to improve, but what AI has changed about the client's expectations. The bar has been raised. The expectations are greater. Clients now expect more visibility, more transparency, and more accountability in the process. You see, when a business owner knows that AI can build a sourcing pipeline in a matter of minutes, they start asking different questions. Why is this taking 70+ days? What exactly am I paying 35% for? To me, those questions were always valid, but now there's context behind it. And that context is now forcing every recruiter to either answer that question with confidence, or you wind up getting replaced by someone who can. So let me put this in further perspective for you, because I don't think most people really understand how big this shift actually is. So in the history of recruitment, the original tools, pen, paper, telephone, Rolodex, those were muskets. That's what recruiters went to war with for years. Then came the applicant tracking system, and that was like going from muskets to automatic weapons. And it changed the speed, it changed the scale, it changed how many candidates a recruiter could process at a given time. Now, the birth of AI, that's like the discovery of the nuclear bomb. It doesn't just change the speed, it completely reshapes the power dynamics of recruitment and talent acquisition altogether. It redefines who has leverage, who has access, who controls the process. That's not an incremental upgrade. It's a completely new era. And through this new era, there's a part where the hype starts to die down. It's when people realize that AI by itself can't fix hiring. It just simply accelerates what's already there. If your methodology is sharp, AI makes you lethal. But if your process is broken, AI just gives you faster broken processes. And that's the trap, thinking that your weapon is the strategy. It's not. The weapon is the amplifier. The strategy comes from the human involvement through the hiring process. Think about it this way for a second. AI can surface 1,000 candidates from across the entire market in just a matter of minutes. That's pure power. But someone still has to determine which few candidates are actually best. Someone has to have the real conversation. Someone has to be able to read the room, so to speak. Hear what a candidate isn't saying. Catch the hesitations. Feel the alignment or misalignment with your company's culture. And that's not a task that you can automate. That's the reason that the role of recruiter exists. Remember, a weapon doesn't make a great general. The general makes the weapon great. Now, AI is my company's weapon. We use it every single day, but the weapon doesn't define us. What defines us is our strategy and our methodology. It's our evaluation framework, the ability to assess whether a candidate is actually going to thrive within a specific company. AI feeds me the intelligence, and we turn it into outcomes. And that's the general, not the person with the most technology, but the person who knows what to do with it. And that's the part that people are just choosing to ignore today, and they're hoping AI does everything for them. Now, while AI is driving the recruitment engine, handling the sourcing, building the pipelines, processing the data at scale, there needs to be a level of quality and control and oversight and human-to-human connection that keeps the outcomes consistent and impactful. Remember, the more powerful the weapon, the more critical the general becomes, because the speed is higher, the volume is higher, the margin for error shrinks, and without someone matching the speed with real precision and real judgment, you're not making faster decisions, you're just making faster mistakes. So in my opinion, AI isn't making great recruiters optional for your business. It's actually making them essential. Now, if you take a step back and just filter out some of the noise, here's what AI has actually really created, and it's quite powerful, much more powerful than people realize. You see, AI created an environment where value and service and accountability cannot be hidden anymore. Clients can benchmark, they can compare, and they can measure. And when you create an environment where the results are visible and the expectations are high, the people delivering real value, they will rise to the top, and everyone else gets exposed. So the question becomes, what does real value actually look like? Meaning, what does the top 10% of recruiters actually deliver that AI can't? Well, I'm about to get into what a top 10% recruiter can actually deliver for you. So now that AI handles the sourcing, the screening, the pipeline, and all the data, the only question left is, what does a recruiter worth paying for actually do? And the answer is pretty simple. They do everything that determines whether the hire will actually thrive and succeed in your business. I'm not talking about whether a resume just gets forwarded off, but whether a human being succeeds, thrives, and grows within your company. Now, I've gone ahead and broken down the key traits of this into 5 parts. So let's go through it. Number 1, they challenge the search before it starts. A recruiter in the top 10% does not accept the job description at face value. They will push back. They will ask you questions like, do you need 10 years of experience, or are you just solving a specific problem? Is this really a VP role, or is it a operations lead with a specific title problem? They reshape the search based on real market intelligence and real advisory, no assumptions. And before a single candidate is even sourced, top recruiters have already made the search that much smarter. Number 2, they evaluate the person, never the profile. So if you've been following along and you watched my last video on the 5 traits of identifying an A player, which is X factor, verified skills, values alignment, personality assessment, and growth potential, this is where that framework becomes critical. Now, if you missed it, I'll link it right here. You can go watch it right after this one. But AI can assist with skills matching and pattern recognition. But the rest, the X factor, values alignment, and so on, that's a real conversation, a human one. And that's the type that prevents the most expensive hiring mistakes. Number 3, they persuade A players who aren't even looking. So 83% of talent acquisition professionals say engaging passive candidates is the most critical skill in recruiting going forward. And passive candidates, the people who aren't necessarily looking on job boards, who aren't even actively looking, don't respond to automated outreach. They respond to trust, credibility. They will respond to a human being who can articulate a specific vision that is worth disrupting their career for. And that's not a templated message, that's a relationship. Number 4, they own the outcome, not just the introduction. I'm talking about the entire outcome, the evaluation, the negotiation, the close, the transition. You see, the top performing recruiters are invested in whether that hire that they made is thriving 6, 12, 18, 24 months post-hire, not just once the placement clears. And that's accountability, real accountability. And that's the thing that separates a partner from a vendor. And lastly, number 5, they bring a system, not just effort. They have a methodology, a repeatable, proven framework that is consistently identifying people who stay, perform, and grow. Not just, I've got a great network, and not just my gut instincts. It's a system that delivers results regardless of market conditions. Because when you have a system, results are predictable. And when results are predictable, trust is earned. Now, every one of these 5 traits become more important when AI is in the equation, not less, because AI has raised the speed, AI has raised the volume, AI has raised the expectations. And someone has to match that speed with precision, that volume with consistent judgment, and those expectations with accountability. Well, that's what a top 10% recruiter will deliver. Not just recruiting, it's value, service, accountability, the things that actually build teams. Now, while you think on that, remember this: the top 10% of recruiters won't survive because they outrun AI. They'll survive because they're delivering something that AI was never going to replace anyway. And now the entire market can see the difference. So here's where this lands for you. If you're a business leader, a founder, or someone building a team, the hiring landscape has shifted for you. And you need to find a great recruiter now, more than ever. Not less, more. Because AI has made hiring faster, but it definitely didn't make it simpler. If anything, the speed has created more chaos, more risk. There are more candidates than ever. There are more data. There are more options. And without someone who can cut through all of that noise with real methodology and real judgment, you just end up making faster, bad decisions. Now, that sounds like exactly what you're looking for. This is actually the model that we have built internally. AI and human expertise fused together. Not one or the other, but actually both. AI handles the infrastructure, sourcing, pipeline building, data analysis, all at light speed, and our expert recruiters handle the evaluation. Real conversations, a proven 5-trait methodology, and a deep assessment of who someone actually is beyond their resume. We evaluate against a proven framework, and we deliver A players, vetted, assessed, and ready to perform. So if you want to see what that looks like for your particular company, just go ahead and book a discovery call with my team. The link for that is in the description box below. And if you've ever caught yourself saying, I know exactly how to evaluate talent, I just need to increase my volume, well, I've got the perfect video for you. It's titled How to 20x Your Hires. You can find that in this video link right here. And before you go, I have this move for you. Call your recruiter and ask them this one question. What do you do that AI can't? Now time them. If they can't give you a clear, specific answer in 30, maybe 60 seconds, well then unfortunately they are in the 90% and you deserve the best. And if this video brought you value, please don't forget to like and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. It does help YouTube deliver this content to more business leaders just like yourself. And don't forget to drop a comment. Tell me how you're using AI in your hiring process right now. And if you're a business owner, tell me what you wish your recruiter did differently. I read every single comment. I look forward to hearing your feedback. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.